Hello everyone, welcome today to IMAGI-NATION TV, week 12, episode 55, featuring designers on the theme of rebellious. Today I am the co-host of IMAGI TV. My name is Daniel Alexander. I'm from Monaro High School. I'm currently in year 12. Thank you for having me. My rebellious to me is something that most people do and think that is against the law. It can be against the law, but it doesn't also necessarily have to mean illegal. To me, it also means you can do it in any sort of way. You can do it in a political way, a friendly way, but rebellious is not necessarily a bad thing. It can also help us as well to defeat some of our fears as well in some ways, but it is also it can be also a double-edged sword, sorry. And what I want to learn from co-hosting today is to help myself and hopefully everyone else here to help with a crowd and a fear, because everyone struggles with crowds and I want to learn how to overcome that, and it's very hard to.
Thank you so much, Daniel, for introducing the show and for hosting and for leading from the front of getting out of your comfort zone. Yesterday, we had Connor and Imogen lead from the front with bravery. You know, they got out of their comfort zones. They got to share words of wisdom during their presidential speeches. And I'm so grateful that I get to work alongside young leaders like you, Daniel, who continually want to be better and raise the standards. So thank you for joining us today. Our partner school is Monaro High School. In the live audience, we have Brooke, Liam, Noah, Lakota, Leroy, Jimmy, Tyra, Dakota, Brock, and Jaden. How are you guys feeling today? Can I get a hello? Hey, what's happening?
Hey.
How are we feeling?
Good. Really good. Yeah. Excited.
Good, excited, a little bit nervous. We just had a dance party behind the scenes to get everyone pumped up for the show. We've had lots of comments coming through the chat line. Steph Beck has said, looking forward to hearing from our designers today. Becky Smith has said, can't wait to see the students from Monaro shine. Lauren Blundell saying, go Daniel. Becky said, yes, Daniel, leading by example. Alex Jackson has said, stepping up and leading Daniel, amazing stuff. What's our live audience? What does rebelliousness mean to us? What does it mean to you?
To me, it really means going against society's expectations of what it means to be a person of color today, and being the person I really am in defiance of what is considered to be normal.
Yeah, brilliant. And I think now more than ever, we're seeing various acts of rebelliousness. And I think like what Daniel said, there's many different ways we can rebel, and they don't all have to be illegal. They can be small acts of rebellion, big acts of rebellion, and it's about fighting the social norms of what's been passed before us. Daniel, would you like to kick us off with the 60-second school challenge?
Yeah, no worries. So today we'll jump into it, the 60-second challenge with Madison Godden from Monaro High School, the Indigenous Education Coordinator. And tell us, Ms. Godden, how are you feeling about the show today?
Hello, I'm so excited to be on. Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure. I love everything that AIM does for my kids and for all the kids in Australia and beyond.
Yeah, that's good. They do a lot of work for a lot of kids around the country. That is true, and we appreciate that as Monaro. They've helped us out a lot as well. And so working at our school and being a role model with all of us. Thank you for being a role model. It does help for many kids. Anyway, we're about to start this round. Are you ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
Ready? And the clock starts in 3, 2, 1, go. What is your idea of a perfect happiness?
At home with my puppy and partner.
What is your current state of mind?
Optimistic and excited.
Good. What is your secret power?
I'm very quick-witted. I always have something witty to say back to someone.
That's good. That's good. Can also be a double-edged sword. What quantity do you most like in puppets?
I like their ability to make anyone laugh of any ages. So it can be kids, adults, elderly people. I think they just touch a range of people.
Which words or phrases do you most overuse?
Oh, I say oi way too much, oi, and definitely better late than never is a good catchphrase for me.
And if you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be?
I'm a textbook overthinker. I'm a worrywart, and I'd love to chill out a tiny little bit.
And that's the time up.
Thank you.
For that one. Thank you for the questions. We didn't get through all of them, but thank you for those answers. They're very nice answers for those questions. Would have been very similar. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Madison, for the work you do, and Daniel for leading that. Students in the live audience, how do you think Miss Godden went during that? What would you rate her out of 10?
An 8.
8 to 10. All right. Yeah, it seems pretty good. What would you rate Daniel for his presenting skills so far? How's he going?
10 out of 10.
Solid 10 out of 10. Yeah, I'd say the same. It's great to have you here. We've got lots of comments coming through. Justin Moses has said, this crowd is wishing you nothing but success and growth, Daniel. Steph Becker said, full house in the audience. So great to see all of your faces on the screen. Today, we have Jack Warwick on the call with us. Jack, how are you feeling?
I'm good. I'm a little bit nervous, but pretty excited to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Kids have set some pretty high expectations today, haven't they?
Yeah, well done to Daniel. It's pretty exciting, man. You've done a great job hosting the show so far. It's a pretty intimidating thing to be on a live stream to hundreds of people, but you've done a really good job, man. Well done.
Thank you. It is. It's very scary, but that's part of life. Just stepping out of your comfort zone and doing something that you normally wouldn't do.
That's it, man. I'm here with you. Don't stress.
All right, Jack, before we kick into our 60-second challenge, do you want to maybe give us a little bit of an idea of who you are and how you came to be on IMAGI-NATION TV today?
Yeah, for sure. So I actually grew up in a rural town called Cowra down in New South Wales. I moved to Sydney probably about 7 years ago, and since then I've worked a whole bunch of different jobs. But around 3 years ago, I ended up starting my own marketing and advertising agency and an online entertainment publication. So I came to know Jack, who started AIM, and also Dan, who works with AIM, and wanted to just sort of chip in and help where I can. So I actually curated a couple of the guest hosts today, or the guest designers who will be featuring later in the show, Kamaliza and also Cooper. So you'll get to know those guys soon. But yeah, more or less just wanted to be a part of it and see how I can help and inspire the younger generation that's going to lead the country one day.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here and for pumping us up behind the scenes with some great dance moves and warm-up activities.
You're
Do you
welcome.
reckon we get into the 60 seconds? Are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right, time starts now. What or who is the greatest love of your life?
My wife, Lauren.
When and where were you happiest?
I'd say probably right now. There's no better time than the present. And if you're not happy with what's going on around you, then it's up to you to change it.
Where would you like to most live in the world?
I think I'm living here, and probably second home would have to be Bali. I love Bali.
What is your most treasured possession?
My wife. Double brownie points.
Yeah, you're going to be great after this show. What's the bravest goal you've ever set yourself?
I think setting out to start your own business, it's a crazy idea at the time, and then once you get through it all and see the pot of gold at the other side, it's all worthwhile. But it's not without its challenges.
What does freedom mean to you?
Living on your own terms. I mean, according to the law, but living on your own terms. So making your own money and not having to answer to too many people.
All right, time's up. Thank you so much for jumping into those questions, sharing a little bit about yourself with us, and yeah, everything you do is absolutely incredible, and we're honoured to be able to have you on this platform. So thanks
so much for having me around, and good luck to the rest of the crew out there today.
Kids in the live audience, can we give Jack a round of applause, please? Oh, I think we can do a bit better than that. Let's pump up that energy a little bit more. We're getting there. Let's continue to practice that throughout the show. Let's get some fist pumps happening, and let's bring a little bit more energy to that. Daniel, do you want to introduce our next segment?
Yes, thank you. So for today, for 180 seconds of wizardry, we have sorry, it's hard to pronounce the name. I apologize. Dune Rosen, who is a founder of Female Startup Club, to tell us about how to build a community of empowered females via Female Setup Club. Dune Rosen is an Australian interpreter and marketing expert. After having spent the last 10 years working in digital marketing and economics, from running social media at Australia's largest and most successful online retailer, The Iconic, to working with huge global brands like Snapchat and IMG, he changed gears and launched her own ventures, a direct-to-customer jewelry brand that excites to make millennial women all over the world sparkle bright, and Female Startup Club, an educational platform that provides insightful podcasts and technical courses. Sorry.
Let's chuck it into the video.
Hey guys! So happy to be here for the 180 seconds of wizardry today. My name is Dune, and I own a sparkly jewelry company called Kinks and an educational platform for women who want to launch and grow their own businesses called Female Startup Club. Today, I want to share with you an exercise about setting life goals and getting clear on what you want to achieve over the next few years. It's all about consciously thinking about what direction you want to go in and taking action in creating your wildest dreams. This is something that I do regularly in my own personal life, and it's led me to reach my major goals that I never thought was possible for myself, like traveling overseas and launching my own businesses. So, the first step to consciously setting life goals is to come up with the vision. It's really simple. You take a piece of blank paper or a journal and you write down the question, what would be the coolest thing that could happen over the next year of my life? It could also be, what's the coolest thing that I could achieve over the next 5 years of my life? The beauty is you get to choose. Now you start to write things down. Oh, here we go. It looks like this. Now you got to start putting things down on paper and let it take you wherever you want to go. It can be wild, it can be huge, it can be something that impacts your community or even the world. But it also doesn't have to be that big. It can just be about your grades or your performance at school. It can be about making new friends. It can be about mental health. It can be about whatever you want. I've got down here a few different examples for the purpose of this exercise. Learning how to dance, learning a new language, buying a house, writing a book. It can be really big goals. And so for the point of this exercise, I put all these different things down here, and we're going to focus on just one. So I'm going to focus on writing a book and what I would do to get there. So step 2 is to identify the daily habits that you need to get there, because this doesn't just happen overnight. You don't suddenly wake up one day and have your goal achieved. You have to take action towards your goals. You have to put in effort. So to write a book, you need to put pen on paper. And for me, the daily habit might be setting myself a mini goal of writing 500 words per day. If the goal was to get better grades in school, it could be dedicating 30 minutes extra every single day to studying online, or getting yourself a tutor to help you every afternoon when you finish school. And it's important to take these daily habits and also write them down. So this is an example of what that might look like. And step 3 is following through, making sure you actually do it. By putting this sign or this post-it note somewhere that you'll see it every single day, it'll act as a reminder to walk towards your goals and keep you on track. And a quick bonus step is to get yourself an accountability buddy. Ask a friend or a family member if they'll be able to be your accountability buddy. They can check in on you, you can talk about your progress and keep up to date with how things are going. So that's my 180 seconds of wizardry for today. Thanks so much.
June, Roisin, ladies and gentlemen, can we get a round of applause from the audience with a lot of energy? We're getting there. We definitely are. Did anyone in the audience have the chance to write down what one of their goals or biggest dreams may be? I know I didn't prep you before the wizard segment to do that, but if anyone had the chance to write it down or even just to think about what one of your wildest dreams may be, do you want to take yourself off mute and share with us?
Mine was in the next 5 years was to either go to the Navy after my dad or the Air Force. Yeah.
Incredible, thank you. Incredible to have some goals to set for yourself. At AIM, we have brave goals, which are big, risky, audacious, visionary, and endless goals. Because I think in schools, we're taught to set SMART goals that are achievable, that have timelines to them. And I think exactly what Doone was saying then, it's about having some action for your wildest dreams. I wrote a couple of mine down during that just then. I also want to buy a house. I want to become more confident in my public speaking because I do get nervous before these go live. I want to take AIM to some new countries, and I really want to blast the programs that we have in the United States at the moment. Dan, did you set any goals? What would be some goals that you set for yourself?
Goals?
Yeah.
One of my troubling goals is that I find hard is like getting in big group social people. That's probably the biggest one. Breaking through that's what some people would call like a social barrier sometimes. And another one was to work more on my physical health as well, and to gain more independence and to finish my studies. Those were my goals.
Incredible.
But I'm trying not to set too many goals, because if you set too many goals, then you won't be able to complete them all. But there's nothing wrong with doing one goal at a time either.
That's incredible advice, and I think that's something I've learned along the way, is not to want to do 50 things at once, but just to start slowly progressing through them. We've had some comments coming through. Atlanta Lloyd has said, very impressive. Jade has said, this is brilliant. I'm going to go make a mood board with this advice. Benita has said, this is pretty powerful when you write down just what you want just for you. All right, on our designers panel today, we have an incredible lineup. We've got Delvene Cockatoo-Collins, Kamaliza, John Salamba. I'm so sorry if I've pronounced that wrong. I've already asked him 4 times. This is live TV. We're going to keep rolling with it. And we've got Cooper Chapman. How are we feeling today, guys?
Feeling fantastic. Ready to roll.
Yeah, I'm doing great. Ready to be here. Stoked to be here.
Awesome. Let's kick this off. If you have any questions for our panel, please drop them in the YouTube chat line. Students in the live audience, if you have any questions, write them down, put your hand up and we'll come over to you. And Dan, if you want to jump in at any point, feel free to do so. All right, let's kick this off. Delvene, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
So my name's Delvene Cockatoo-Collins. I'm an artist, an independent artist with a studio-based business here in Jirrabah, North Strawberry Island. It's Quandamooka country, which is my people's country, the Nunakal, Nudi and Goranpal. So I have a retail store and a studio that I work from daily, and most of my stories come from moments with my mum or looking at old texts and photographs of my family and making sense of that. And one thing I'm doing right now that I'm really enjoying is an artist residency at home with the Museum of Brisbane. So that takes me out 1 day a week, and I share my book with the audience.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today. I'm looking very forward to being able to ask you some questions shortly as a fellow artist. Cam, how are you feeling? Do you want to let the people know how you came to be here and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, my name's Kamaliza, which is actually my real name and my artist name, but everyone calls me Cam. I'm a 29-year-old singer, producer, DJ, engineer. I write any and all types of original music from like indie, electronic, R&B, hip hop, whatever it is. I really love expressing myself through the medium of music, and I guess I'm on a bit of a journey to learn as much as I can and continue to do what I love, which is creating. So yeah, I'm signed to a publisher based in Melbourne called Native Tongue, and they've landed my music on video games like FIFA and Netflix TV shows like 13 Reasons Why and Channel 7, 9, 10, all different TV shows on there. So yeah, I just love making music and being around music.
So kind of a big deal then if you're just kind of taking over TV shows, music, Channel 7.
Yeah. If the music is good enough, it'll land on good placements, I think.
Very cool. And Cooper Chapman, how are you doing today? Do you want to let the audience know a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Hey guys, thanks for having me. My name's Cooper Chapman. I'm a 26-year-old professional surfer, originally from North Narrabeen in Sydney's Northern Beaches, but I've recently moved up to Byron Bay to live with some good friends and try and create some greatness in a really nice house. So we're going to run men's wellness retreats. But yeah, I'm a professional surfer. I've been surfing for the last 20 years of my life. Right now, obviously with COVID, my events have stopped. So I've been focusing a bit more energy. I've got a mental health and tools and sharing my experiences around building mental resilience, having a father who suffered from depression and losing an uncle to suicide and whatnot. So I've just tried to, be a bit of an open book and share my experiences around building good mental health and hopefully inspire some kids and some people around me to take care of their mental health as well.
Incredible. And thank you so much for taking the time today. Delvene, Cooper just spoke about getting outside of your comfort zone and, being an open book. And I know within art, it takes a lot of courage to be able to do that. And so what do you think the connection is between being an artist, a designer, and having that level of vulnerability to be an open book?
I think, honesty can come through your work. One bit of work that I did was called Woven to Our Ancestors. And it was based on a photo of my great-great-grandmother. And I felt like I should have known that particular photo, that I should have known my relationship with her. But it only was until I felt uncomfortable, I felt challenged, that I really forced myself to understand all of my different lines, my grandparents, and how I'm connected to all of those different ancestors. So sometimes uncomfortability can force you into making sense of it and then making work out of it. So it's really, for me, that particular journey has been a big part of my arts practice, and I continue to share that story.
We've had Vicky commenting in the chat line saying, I love your work, Delvene, you're such an inspiration. And we've had Tom Wensley ask a question to the panel, which is, what is the role of rebelliousness today, and can it be a tool for bringing change? Cooper, do you want to have a crack at answering that one?
The volume just cut out as you started that. Can you ask the question again?
Sure can. So Tom Wensley has said, what is the role of rebelliousness today, and can it be a tool to bring change?
For sure. I think the word rebelliousness probably has a bit of a negative connotation to it, whereas the way I kind of look at it is being willing to know exactly who you are and your values, and making sure that even if it means standing alone and going against society, it's doing something that's going to add value to people's lives. And I mean, the way that society is set up in our days is to go through the system and to be another cog in the wheel. But I think it's time for youth, and I feel that, not pressure, but I feel that responsibility in myself to try and inspire people to go after their life and be happy every day. And that, I guess, can be looked at as rebellious. I mean, when I first heard about a few friends of my little sister losing their life to suicide, I was like, we all say like, oh, what can I do to help? And I was like, you know what, I'm going to go and create a brand, and I'm going to create a movement. And I think that's, in my definition, rebelliousness is standing by your values and going and trying to actually make a difference, even if it's something really small. That's something, I guess, rebellious against the status quo of just being normal and not having that voice, and using your voice for something of positive change and inspiring people to sort of take care of themselves and use their voice to inspire more people.
Pam, do you have any thoughts around what Cooper's just said and how rebelliousness can inspire change?
Yeah, I guess the way I apply rebellion or rebelliousness into my current life is through my artistic choices. I guess one specific example that came to mind is like having the courage to keep my Australian accent in my singing, as opposed to doing what a lot of Australians do and masking it with like a pseudo-American or British accent. Not to say that there's anything wrong with that, but you know, sometimes I pat myself on the back for taking that risk. And you know, taking those risks sometimes work. The first time where I said, no, you know what, I'm going to be comfortable with being myself, and I gave it a go. It ended up being the most played song that I have on Spotify with 4 million streams. So that, you know, really sort of, you know, flamed my desire to always go against the grain and yeah, try new things.
Speaking of going against the grain, Delvene, has there been any time in your life where you felt conflicted or unsure about the path to take forward as an artist and as a human being, and how have you overcome that?
There's been several bits of work where I've had to check in with either parents or my extended family to get their opinion on different bits of work, and one of them was with the Commonwealth Games. So I got to design the medals and the ribbons that are attached to the medals, and also some of the uniforms. So I did quite a bit of work during that period. And so for me, it was like, what does my family think? Because I know that some were protesting the 1982 Commonwealth Games. And my father-in-law, he was part of the Black Panther movement in the early 70s. And he said there's participation and protest. And in that space, you can deliver similar messages. So for me, participating was important because I got the story across about our First Nations weaving, the space on the beach, which forms the design and the medal, and then also that woven to our ancestors became part of a uniform which the medal presenters wore. So when I got to explain that to the athletes, they were really excited about it and talked about how beautiful the work was and that they wanted to win it. So I feel like for me, having that personal connection with those people who were winning or wanted to win those medals, that's where that message got across. So for me, as long as I had that supportive family and that I was telling the message in the right way, participation was important, and I can keep reflecting on that process and carry that forward with me.
I've just got a message from the live audience crew saying Brooke, Liam and Tara all have questions. So let's throw over to them to see what they've got for our panel today. You just want to take yourself off mute. There we go.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a question for Cam. So, like, what would be your biggest dream in the music career?
I would say my dream would be to have my own record label and be a tastemaker that represents Australian music. Whether that be during shows at, you know, the Opera House, or being a touring agency that brings out international artists, putting on live shows, just curating as many events as possible, and just showing people different worlds of creativity. Yeah.
Do we have another question from the live audience?
What was it like going to school and being Indigenous?
May need to come just a little bit closer. We're getting a bit of feedback from the microphone. So whoever's speaking, do you want to just stand up and walk 2 steps closer to the camera?
Delvene, what was it like going to school and being Indigenous?
Sorry, it's raining here and it's really loud. So I'm just going to repeat that question. What was it like going to school as an Indigenous person? Is that?
Yes. Yep, that's the question.
I think because I had other people around me, relations, that it was, you know, I guess I felt protected, but during the time when I went to school, we weren't presented with information that was correct about our people. So for me now, it's like, looking back on that experience, I know now that schools are talking more honestly, truth-telling about the history of our people. So I think compared to what happened when I was at school to what is going on with you as young students now, that there is so much more opportunity to find out, what's happened to our people, and then also to make sense of that. So why are we here? What can we do to continue moving forward? How do we keep talking about the truth of what's happened to our people?
Thank you, Delvene, for doing that. I'm sure all of the kids in the audience, they've asked it for a reason. It's a really strange time in the world at the moment, and I think these discussions and conversations are really healthy to have, to be able to support kids to go through this time. I have one more question, which is for all 3 of you, and then I'm going to throw it over to Daniel to ask a couple questions if he's got some ready. But my question is, do you think there's a link between design and rebelliousness? And if so, what is it? Cam, do you want to have a crack at answering that one first, and then we'll jump to Cooper and Delvene?
I would probably say, again, for me, it always comes back to my artistic choices. It's always the artists that are bold in their actions that will always be, I guess, the most notorious for good and bad reasons. The ones that aren't afraid to use their voice to really speak up and talk about, serious issues. And sometimes these issues are kept, will want to be kept really hush-hush by, certain people within society. But it's really important for every narrative to be heard, and for every voice to tell their story. Yeah.
Cooper, what's your thoughts on that one?
So the question was the relationship between rebelliousness and success.
Rebelliousness, design, success. Yeah, what do you think out of rebelliousness contributes to you being the person you are today?
I think just being comfortable in standing alone. I mean, there's so many good quotes around to be successful and to be your own person it isn't easy. It takes a lot of courage, and I think just being true to yourself, and I think that means knowing yourself, and that's what I've worked a lot on over the last few years. Being in the mental health arena is just really focusing on who I am and finding my own values. And it doesn't necessarily have to be rebelliousness, but if there's a moment where people don't align with your values, it's speaking up and trying to educate and inspire people to find that in themselves. I mean, I'm very lucky. Jack Wilson, an Indigenous guy, has just moved into my house, and he's talking about bringing elders and educating us. And I think having that mindset that you don't know everything and it's so much room for growth, and bringing in knowledge and bringing in stories from everywhere to grow and being open to that change is so important. And I feel like for me, that's kind of describing what rebelliousness is, being open to change and being, I guess, having that humility that you don't know everything and there's always room for improvement and growth.
Yeah, I love those words of rebelliousness is knowing nothing or not knowing everything. There's something really special in that. Delvene, what's your take on rebelliousness and design as an artist?
I think through design and through art, it's amplifying our voices. You know, for a very long time, that other people told our stories. I've got an article that my great-grandmother wrote to the paper saying that's not the truth about our mission. Our mission is this way. So when we think about how, for me, like one of my bits of art, one of the museum workers talked about your artwork is gentle yet radical. So you can put your messages through your work, your voices are amplified, and in a way that we're controlling what we're telling and how people are receiving that. Really, that's up to them if they want to spend time listening to it or looking at it. So design art is a perfect way to be radical, which means, you know, our voices are the ones that are being presented, that are meant to be heard in the way that we want it to be.
Thank you, Delvene. Daniel, you had a question you wanted to ask for the three panelists. Do you want to do that?
Yes, that's correct. My question is for all three of you, you know, to becoming an artist, to becoming a musician, to a professional surfer, what was the perseverance to make you keep going? Even like when things might have been at their hardest, what was the main thing that kept you pushing forward to get to where you are now?
I guess for me, it was continually cultivating courage within myself, and just building that faith in myself, and yeah, just giving myself a pat on the back every now and then, and being happy with even the little milestones. You know, we all have a grand vision to do X, Y, and Z, but it's those tiny wins along the way that, you know, build up to the real bigger picture. So yeah, just being my own mental coach, and, you know, also relying on my friends and family around me to help me along the way. Yeah.
I guess for me, it all just starts with asking that question, why, especially with surfing. I've gone through like ebbs and flows of losing sponsors and losing competitive drive, but then it just comes back to me just getting in the ocean and enjoying it and loving what I'm doing. I mean, if you're going to work every day not loving it, get a different job. Like, there's so many options and opportunities out there nowadays that I think it just has to start with why. I mean, I guess it's pretty cliche saying life's short, but every day you should be out there striving to do something. For me, it's to go and help other people's lives with my mental health business. But when it comes to me personally, it's being completely comfortable with who I am and knowing I'm inspiring and adding value to other people's lives, because that's my why.
Delvene here. I absolutely agree with both Pippa and Cam. Just having a love of what you do, backing yourself, having that daily routine, the consistency and your approach, and the drive. Like, you know, I love this, I want to do this, and you know, if you believe in yourself, others will see that too and start responding to that. So when people do respond to what you do, it's such a great you know, feeling that it's, you know, being well received by others, and you know, you can take that on or not. It's up to you, because you also get the sometimes criticism, but it's being able to just know and believe in what you're doing and keep that consistent approach, and yeah, enjoy it, have fun.
Thank you so much for those responses and for that question, Dan. Jack, who was our wizard today, has a question that he would like to jump in and ask. Do you want to go riff on it, Jack?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks so much. Delvene, I actually spent tons of time on Stradbroke Island. It's probably, you know, arguably one of the most beautiful places in the world, or I think it's the most beautiful place in the world. I wanted to know if anyone ever gets the opportunity to head over there, what's your top recommended spot to go and check out, which you specifically draw inspiration from? So it might be a beach or a cafe or a park or somewhere where you like to go and relax. I just know how amazing it is there. I'd love for you to share your secret spots if anyone gets the opportunity to make it over there for a trip.
Thank you about your non-biased approach to the island. It is really beautiful here. There's so many different spots, but when you get off the boat, that's Gympie Dunwich, and so there's lots of spots to see within this space. A couple of beautiful beaches, the Gorge Walk, which at the moment it's whale season, so very similar to the Byron Rocky Outcrop coastline as well. So yeah, best land-based whale watching. So between May and November, see the whales down there, and then Back Beach, which you can just walk along and you know, really connect and switch off, and I don't know, get some eugeries, which is our shellfish, and cook up a feed.
Love it. It's so incredible there. I'm very envious of your location for living.
Well, crew, I think we've definitely gone over time by a lot. The show's only meant to be 30 minutes, but it was just so engaging, and I loved being able to hear all of your stories. So not going to wrap it up yet, even though the screen's indicating that it's time to wrap it up. I want to do a really quick whip around the screen, 10 seconds or less. What's your message to kids around the world? Cooper, do you want to kick us off?
Oof, 10 seconds are left. I love talking. Find what you love to do and do it every day, even if it's just something small, going down the beach, going meditating. Find something that's simple to do every day that brings you enjoyment, so you've got that one little thing every day.
Cam, what have you got for us?
Mine would be that there's always a lane to be yourself. In anything you do, you'll always be able to carve a path and set goals. I got my goal board over here. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's all my goals that I want to year. Like, check in with yourself. Are you thinking or feeling? Be kind to yourself. All sorts of stuff. Just talk to yourself nice.
I love that. Delvene, message to the kids around the world.
I think find a location that you can connect to and monitor those seasonal changes. I think that's a really lovely way to move through your childhood. Seeing the different birds that come through, seeing the different things that grow in that space at different times of the year. It's really lovely to reflect on.
Jack, what have you learnt from today, and what's your 10 seconds to kids around the world?
I think I've learnt to clearly identify what your passion is and to challenge yourself. I think life can get a little bit boring, a little bit down unless you're doing those things. So yeah, I think first and foremost, challenge yourself and find your passions. And yeah, I'm more or less just really proud of all the people that participated in the show, particularly Daniel. You're a true example of what we just spoke about today, which is pushing yourself outside of the boundary and giving it a crack. So well done again to you, man. It was amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dan, what have you got out of today, and what would be your message to kids that are maybe feeling a little bit nervous about what's to come in the future, or whether they're coming on INTV? What's your message to them?
What I would say is don't let a big mountain put you off of your goal. If you have the passion for it, then you should be able to do it. Because to me, I see the same thing. You should never be okay with life. You should never be mediocre. You should be, living it to the fullest. And that also comes to, don't stick with it, whatever you've got with your life. You've got your whole life. And I know, especially for me, I'm in year 12 and I'm scared of leaving school and going out into the big world at the same time. But it's part of life. And I reckon just giving it in, and when you get offered something, give it a go, because if you don't like it, you can always just say no and you can just move on. That's just how I see it.
Incredible, mate. And I mean, it was definitely longer than 10 seconds, but it was great. So thank you. Crew in the live audience, can we get a massive round of applause, this time with the most amount of energy you've got, because this is the end of the show, for everyone that's come on as a guest, for Dan, for Delvene, for Jack, for Cooper, and for Cam. Let's give them a good little thank you. Thank you very much for coming on the show today, for our live audience, for being engaged and for participating, to our guests, to Dan. I scribbled a bunch of notes this whole time about all of the inspiring stuff everyone was saying. Ended up being 2 pages long because I was going to recap it at the end to be like, yeah, this is what we learned today. But I think you all just summarized it incredibly in your 10 to 60 seconds of messages to kids around the world. So thank you for coming on the show today. It's very much appreciated. That wraps us up. We're going to throw to Hope's Design Awards, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks, crew.
See ya.
Watching IMAGI-NATION TV. Wow, aren't you fantastic? This week on Hope's Design Awards, we're looking at the theme rebelliousness. And our future award winner goes to Celestine Winardi. Celestine Winardi is an Indonesian inventor and scientist. After discovering the huge number of people affected by diabetes, she wanted to devise a simple way for people to test their glucose levels. Rather than have to take the sample from their blood like normal tests require, Celestine's version works by using the heat on the surface of a person's skin to measure their levels. Wow! She took her design to the Google Science Fair where it grabbed lots of attention and support, and she's now focusing on ensuring the test is 100% accurate. Incredible work, Celestine. It's our pleasure to give you the Future Award winner today. The Lifetime Award goes to Harmut Esslinger. Harmut Esslinger is an industrial designer, teacher and entrepreneur. He was born in Germany in 1944 into very tough conditions, but became one of the world's most renowned designers. In 1982, he founded Frog Design. He began designing TVs for a little company that eventually became Sony. His work caught the eye of Steve Jobs. Esslinger thought Jobs' Mac product was horrible. They formed a partnership, and Esslinger ended up unlocking the Apple design language that took them from a Silicon Valley startup to a global brand. Wow! He says that in design, being the rebel allows you to break the rules and sets you apart. I couldn't agree more. It is my pleasure to be able to give you the Lifetime Achievement Award, Harmut Esslinger, and I'd love you to be my mentor. Maybe we could co-host a show one day. Lots of love from Hope and IMAGI-NATION TV. See you soon. That's it from me this week, guys. Harmut Esslinger, what a fantastic goer, and Celestine Winardi. Wow, they're doing great things, and so are you. See you next time on IMAGI-NATION TV for Hope's Design Awards, and remember, it's cool to be kind, and it's even cooler to be a bit of a rebel. Bye!